Many junior officers and cadets asked me a question. Captain, what do senior officers really look for? Is it intelligence, technical knowledge, or the sea service? The answer is yes, but those are only part of the picture. After many years at sea, I have learned that senior officers often look beyond technical skills. Senior officers look for qualities that indicate whether someone can be trusted with greater responsibility. Today, let's discuss what senior officers are truly looking for. Let's start with the obvious. Every senior officer expects that junior officers to understand their duties. For example, a third officer should know navigation, the second officer should know the passage planning, and a chief officer should understand cargo operations and stability. Technical competence is the foundation. However, it is rarely the reason someone gets promoted. It is usually the minimum requirement. Senior officers value reliability. A highly talented officer who cannot be depended upon creates problems. Meanwhile, an average officer who consistently delivers often earns greater trust. I gotta give you an example. As a master, I would rather have an officer who consistently completes his duties properly than someone who is brilliant but unreliable. Reliability builds confidence. Attitude is always being observed. One lesson I learned early in my career is that senior officers are always observing, not only during operations, but during meetings, inspections, and the daily interactions on board. Your attitude often speaks louder than your technical ability. For example, when I was a chief officer, I once worked with a master who frequently shouted at their subordinates in front of the other crew members. One day, he shouted at me publicly. At that very moment, I lost respect for him immediately. That experience taught me something very important. Senior officers should never confuse authority with professionalism. The officers who earn respect are those who remain professional under pressure. Humility is a strength. Nobody knows everything. Some young officers think confidence means pretending to know everything. In reality, experienced leaders respect humility. The best officers are confident enough to admit when they don't know something. Senior officers notice this immediately. Humility creates growth. Arrogance stops growth. Technical skills can be taught. Integrity cannot. When a senior officer trusts your character, they become more willing to trust your decisions. For example, when I was a second officer, I worked with a master who shared negative stories about my performance as a third officer with the other crew members. Some of the stories were inaccurate. Unfortunately, people believed them. I learned a valuable lesson from that experience. A leader's words carry influence. Senior officers should protect reputations, not damage them. What many senior officers look for is someone they can trust to speak honestly and fairly about others. Communication skills matter. Many shipboard problems begin with poor communications. Senior officers pay close attention to how junior officers communicate. Questions such as, can you explain the task clearly? Can you listen before reacting? Can you communicate professionally during stressful situations? Good communications often separates the future leaders from the average performers. Do you wait or do you act? Senior officers appreciate officers who think ahead, not because they are told, but because they are care about the success of the operations. People who take initiatives often become future leaders. Do you respect the crew? Do you support teammates? Do you mentor the juniors? Do you influence positively? These are signs of leadership potential. One of the biggest indicators of future success is how someone treats people below them. Anyone can lead when given authority. The real question is, how do you behave when no authority is required? When I was a chief officer, I worked with a master who constantly used the phrase, "Head office wants this. Superintendents wants like that. Head office says we must do this, we must finish this one." Almost every instruction was justified by referring to a head office or the superintendents or someone ahead of him. Over time, the crew stopped seeing the instructions as leadership. Instead, they saw it as a pressure from above. What I learned was simple. Strong leaders explain the purpose behind decisions. Weak leaders constantly hide behind authority. Senior officers look for people who can influence others through understanding, not fear. Promotion is not simply about sea service. It is about readiness. Every day, senior officers are assessing whether someone is prepared for greater responsibility. Questions such as, can this person be trusted? Can this person lead people? Can this person make sound decisions? Can this person remain professional under pressure? Can this person represent the company well? I remember I once worked with a chief officer that was very mean and unprofessional towards the agents, stevedores, and the suppliers. With his behavior, I cannot give him a recommendation for promotions as master. Many officers believe promotions happen because of technical knowledge alone. In reality, these qualities you see on the screen are often what the senior officers remember most. People are promoted because they have earned trust. Throughout my entire career at sea, I have met many technical skilled officers. Some advanced quickly, others did not. The difference was rarely intelligence. The difference was trust. Senior officers are not looking for perfect officers. They are looking for people who can trust when nobody is watching. Because in the end, the senior officers are not simply evaluating what you know. They are evaluating who you are becoming as a leader.